do have big news about this fund. How difficult was it to raise the money, and where do you plan on spending it?
So we were fortunate. Jennifer Fonset and I announced the fund a year ago. Our plan was phase one, founder funded, which we did. We had about a dozen investments. And when that happened, we said, okay, now time to raise a fund so that we can build a next generation firm, hire people. And to be honest with you, we were very fortunate. I think it was the combination of, between the two of us, having 15+ year track records each with 6 IPOs, 26 M&As, and then we had a dozen portfolio companies that people could look at, and it was fairly straightforward, and we were fortunate to, hit the top end or exceed the top end of our target range.
Now, I remember both of you came on the show to talk about it when you started the firm, and, it's a shame that you guys are the rarity here in Silicon Valley, and that's one thing that Sukhinder brought to the floor in a letter that you wrote on Rico this week, talking about this issue of women in technology. But you had a sort of a different take on it, Sukhinder, and I want to read a quote from your letter where you said, all tech entrepreneurs, not just female ones, encounter bias, be it gender, age, or business model. People make judgments about us as we pitch our vision long before we have data. But as a startup community, our most universal bias is toward possibility. What do you mean by that?
Sure.
I know this is a big argument, and we don't have a ton of time.
Of course. No, it's very simple. Look, at the end of the day, our own data showed in the letter that women face discrimination and bias. By the way, 67% of women tech founders we surveyed said that they encounter that. But when you try and change any ecosystem, right, particularly ones in the Valley, you start with what's possible. In fact, entrepreneurship thrives on the idea of possibility. That's true. So yes, have we faced bias? Yes. Have men faced bias who are older than, the young 22-year-old founder? They have too. The point is, if we want to make progress on this issue, we do actually need to showcase what's possible. The return to possibility is one of the ways, in fact, to enable change. And so it is important to amplify what's possible and the women entrepreneurs that are succeeding every day in the Valley.
Now, Theresia, you worked at Excel Partners for a very long time, where there are a lot of male partners. Was it different or more difficult to raise money as a woman, going out on your own with Jennifer?
I think it's certainly different to be a first-time fund versus, raising fund 9, 10, 11, 12. But as I said, we were really fortunate to have great support, first from the entrepreneurial community in terms of finding many great opportunities to invest in, including companies like Vita Health, which Stephanie Tilleni has co-founded, or Exabeam in the security space. And then, as a result, we were able to have great support from the investor community, including investor entrepreneurs. I should mention Sukhinder is actually an investor in Aspect as well.
What did you guys see in the Ellen Pao trial, Sukhinder?
So I think we saw a couple of things. Number one, I think the fact that Ellen was brave enough to step out on an issue like discrimination in and of itself elevated the conversation. And I think there's no doubt that Ellen Pao's, stepping forward, regardless of the outcome, bought into the water cooler conversation between men and women, what is really happening. And I think brought to the fore the idea of unconscious bias, for sure.
Theresia?
Yeah, I think the unconscious bias piece is a big part of it. What it really highlights is the importance of culture, and how culture is actually important in people's ability to succeed or not succeed in a particular environment. And I think having the culture discussion is important, and I think that's why what Sukhinder wrote in Choose Possibility is important for two reasons. One is, I've always said the fastest way to make change is to start something new, and then the second thing is it brings a positive narrative of people who are succeeding and killing it and starting things in Silicon Valley.